My name is Guy Alberghini. This is a broadcast of the United States Constitution. Each broadcast will cover a very small section of the Constitution, policies that go against that section of the Constitution, as well as possible solution or solutions. If you just go along with the bad policies, then you agree with them. And if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Hi there. Welcome back to our broadcast. What I'm going to cover for this broadcast is a few ways that this country's sovereignty is under attack. The first one, naturally, is borders. Now, you cannot have drug cartels, mass migration, unchecked, coming through the borders. You do not have a country without borders. Okay, for the second one, gotta start with Article 5 from NATO. Article 5 provides that if a NATO ally is a victim of an armed attack, each and every other member of the alliance will counter the act of violence as an armed attack against all members and will take action it deems necessary to assist the ally attacked. Okay, that was July 4th, 2023. Now, the reason why I brought that up is because one of the amendments for the National Defense Authorization Act, fiscal year 2024, amendment number S226, states as follows: to express the sense of Congress that Article 5 of the North American Treaty does not supersede the constitutional requirements that Congress declare war before the United States engages in war. So this in front of the 2226 means that's amendment from the Senate, the U.S. Senate, as opposed to the state Senate. So how many senators do you think were voted yes for that amendment? I personally would have thought all of them would have voted yes for the amendment. Okay, because it's, according to the Constitution, it's the responsibility of the House and the Senate to declare war. Sadly to report, of 100 senators, there were only 16 that voted for the amendment. 83 of them voted no. And one person was so confused he didn't know what to do. So the patriots that voted for this amendment: Braun of Indiana, Cruz of Texas, Daines of Montana, Hagerty of Tennessee, Hawley of Missouri, Johnson of Wisconsin, Kennedy of Louisiana, Lankford of Oklahoma, Lee from Utah, Loomis of Wyoming, Marshall from Kansas, Paul from Kentucky, Rubio from Florida, Schmidt from Missouri, Tuberville from Alabama, and Vance from Ohio. Those 16 are strongly for the Constitution. The one confused person was Brasso out of Wyoming. All the 83 others voted no for that amendment. Which is very disheartening. So the third way, before we get to the third way, a couple of definitions. Okay, this first definition, in the broadest sense of this, I'll tell you what this is in a minute, is characterized by strong central rule that attempts to control and direct all aspects of individual life through coercion and repression. Okay, does that sound like a country that you might currently be living in? That definition is a definition of totalitarianism. And the second one, okay, a governmental system led by a dictator having complete power, forcibly suppressing opposition and criticism, regimenting all industries, commerce, etc., and emphasizing an aggressive nationalism and often racism. That's a definition of fascism. So you might be asking a guy, okay, why are you bringing those two definitions up? Okay, so the FedNow system is currently being implemented, and the transactions will be done in real time, but also in real time, they'll be able to see what you purchase, what I purchase, who you're donating to. If they don't like what you're spending your funds on, at the very best case, you won't be able to get those funds. You won't be able to buy that product. Won't be able to donate your funds to whoever. The worst case is your account would be completely shut down and you won't be able to use it at all. Okay, so through the FedNow system, we're quickly going to central bank digital currency. And using logarithms, that's how they're going to be able to tell in real time what you're purchasing. And the logarithm would say, no, you can't purchase that. They started towards the end of July with the $1 trillion banks. About 3 weeks ago, they were down to the $10 billion banks, and they're going to keep on going along until virtually all the banks in the nation are using the central bank digital currency. Okay, so let's say that there alone falls under the two definitions that I have read to you. Okay, so what are some solutions? First, I have to be more involved. I'm involved now. I have to be more involved. You have to be involved. You have to get other people involved. Involved to do what? Get in touch with your reps, your senators, city, town, state, federal levels. Okay? Like I say, if you just go along with the policy, then you agree with it. And if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So we have to repeal the Federal Reserve Act. Okay, we should not have a private entity controlling our economy. We should make the dollar fixed again. That could be gold, silver, titanium, but fixed. We have to separate the banking speculation from our savings and checkings account. They could still speculate, but if they mess up, they won't be bailed out by us. To do that, you could look up the Return to Prudent Banking Act of 2023. I believe it's sponsored by Marcy Kaptur of Iowa. We must get back to a national bank in the terms of Alexander Hamilton and use sovereign federal credit for infrastructure development, what we need now and we need 40 to 50 years in the future. We must become a good neighbor again. Instead of threatening other nations, create an international development bank, and whoever wants to join that bank, whoever nation wants to join, we can approve them and help develop systems for those populations. You know, instead of sending billions of dollars to a particular country in Europe that's not a NATO country, we should be developing home first and get back to the good neighbor policy. So since there's a little bit time, some of the people that voted no on that amendment: Baldwin of Wisconsin, Bennett of Colorado, Blackburn of Tennessee, Blumenthal of Connecticut, Booker of New Jersey, Boozman of Arizona, Britt of Alabama, Brown of Iowa, Budd of North Carolina, Cantwell of Washington, Capito of West Virginia, Cardin of Maryland, Carper of Delaware, Cassie of Pennsylvania, Cassidy, Louisiana, Collins out of Maine, Coons out of Delaware, Corman out of Texas, Mosto out of Nevada, Cardin of Arizona, Kramer of North Dakota, Crapo of Indiana, Duckworth of Illinois, Durbin of Illinois, Ernest of Iowa, Feinstein of California, Fetterman of Pennsylvania, Fisher, Gilbrandt of New York, Graham of South Carolina, Grassley, Iowa, Hassan of New Hampshire, Henrich New Mexico. Hickenlooper, Colorado. Hiriono, Hawaii. Hoeven, North Dakota. Smith of Missouri. Kane of Virginia. Kelly of Arizona. King of Maine. Klobuchar of New Mexico. Lawan of New Mexico. Manchin of West Virginia. Markey of Massachusetts. McConnell, Kentucky. Menendez, New Jersey. Merkel of Oregon. Morin, Kansas. Mullen, Oklahoma. Bukowski, Arkansas. Murphy, Connecticut. Murray, Washington. Ossoff, Georgia. Padilla, California. Peters, Michigan. Reed, Rhode Island. Ricketts, Nebraska. Reich, Indiana. Romney, Utah. Rosen, Nevada. Sounds, South Dakota. Sanders, Vermont. Sanchez, Hawaii. Schumer, New York. Scott, Florida. Scott, South Carolina. Shahan, New Hampshire. Seaman, Arizona. Smith, New Mexico. Stabino, Michigan. Sullivan, Arkansas. Tester, Montana. Thune, South Dakota. Tillis, North Carolina. Holan, Maryland. Warner, Virginia. Warnock, Georgia. Warren, Massachusetts. Welch, Vermont. White House, Rhode Island. Wicker, Missouri. Wyden, Oregon, and Young, Indiana. So those 83 are very un-American, against the Constitution and against American sovereignty. So by now, I'm sure you all know what to do. Call, email your senators, reps, hold them accountable. And I think that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you very much for watching this broadcast. As it says at the beginning of the preamble, we the people. That's you, that's myself. Are you part of the solution or part of the problem? One way to tell is if you're not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. So call, email, meet with your reps and senators, local leaders, tell them what they should be doing. They govern with the consent of the governed, and if you don't tell them what to do, it's implied that you agree with them and they're doing what you want them to do. So thank you very much again, and look forward to seeing you during the next broadcast.